Hello. I'm Jonathan Wilson and welcome to my first ever lesson video on this channel. Today we're going to be talking about the most important scale in all of Western music. So without further ado, let's get into it. The link below this video is a website that has all the notes and fingerings for the scale we're going to talk about. So you can visit that if anything I say is hard for you to visualize. Now, if you haven't guessed yet, this most important scale is the major scale. That one. It's made up of half steps and whole steps. Just like all other scales, a half step is the smallest interval between two notes on the keyboard. Basically the two notes that are closest to each other on a keyboard. And a whole step is just two of those half steps put together. So for example, D to E, this is a whole step because it's comprised of this half step and this half step. So when we're talking about the major scale, there's a simple formula made of half steps and whole steps that creates that scale in every key. So let's find it together. If you didn't know, the C major scale is made up of all the white keys. If we start at C and then go up a whole step, and then another whole step, and then a half step, then a whole step, then a whole step, then a whole step, then one more half step, we've played all 7 notes of the scale. The 8th note is just an octave. So it's a pretty simple concept. It's just the formula whole, half, whole, half. That's how you can build any major scale. Just start on any note and then work your way up with the formula. Now you might be thinking, why are you telling me about all this half step, whole step nonsense? Why can't I just learn the notes? Well, to be honest, you can. The link in the description that I mentioned earlier will have all the notes and fingerings for everything we're talking about. So you could skip this if you really wanted to, but I would advise against that. Knowing the foundations of your scales is crucial in the future when you learn about how the notes are related. Having a complete understanding of how the scales are formed will make them so much easier to learn moving forward. Hopefully, you can trust me on that one. But that's the formula, whole, half, whole, half. Let's demonstrate it in one more scale. B flat major. So we start at B flat. We go up a whole step, then a whole step, then a half step, then a whole step, then a whole step, then a whole step, then one more half step. And that's the whole major scale. You can do this on your own for every single scale, and I would encourage you to if you're not familiar with the concept of whole steps and half steps. Alright, now that we've talked about how to build all 12 major scales, we need to talk about how to play them. But before I go on, let me take a moment to stress how important this is. Look at me. Learning to play your scales the correct way is one of the most crucial aspects of your piano journey. And yes, there is a right way. It's not like having fun or relieving stress, where you just have to find what works for you. Scales have specific fingers for specific notes, and that's just because of anatomy. Most of us have 10 fingers, and there's a right way to use them when we play our scales. Like I said before, the link in the description has the fingerings and note names for all 12 major scales, but I'll still put them on the screen so you can follow along. The way the fingerings work is the thumb is 1, the pointer finger is 2, the middle finger is 3, the ring finger is 4, and the pinky is 5. What I'm going to do now is walk you through all 12 scales quickly while giving you some helpful tips along the way so that you can play them better and more efficiently. Feel free to pause at each one and play along with me. But if you want to skip this and head straight to the recap, there should be a timestamp on the screen and in the description. So for C major, the scale we talked about before, we have the fingerings 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the notes are C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Now one tip with this one and all the scales moving forward is when you switch from your middle finger to your thumb, you want to make this switch as smooth as possible. You don't want to be bringing your entire thumb underneath like this, because this position is not where you want to be. You want to be here as little as possible. You want to be able to make it so smooth, it almost looks like you're just shifting your hand. So as you tuck under, also shift a little bit. So make sure you're not just staying here and then moving your thumb like this. You want to move your hand as you move along the keyboard. Now playing the scale with the left hand, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. And it's easier to go up the keyboard with the left hand because your fingers go over instead of under. Now let's move on to D flat. The fingerings are 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And for the left hand, we have 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3. And another tip, a good rule of thumb when you're playing these scales is that your thumb should never touch the black keys. That doesn't mean it should never touch the black keys at all when you're playing piano, but just when you're playing the major scales at least and other scales. your thumb generally never touches the black keys. When you play through these fingerings, you'll notice that. Let's move on to D major. We have 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for the left hand, we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. So now let's move on to E flat. We start with the pointer finger this time. So 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. One more time, that's 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And for the left hand, we have 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3. Now let's move on to the key of E. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for the left hand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Now for G flat major, the fingerings are 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And for the left hand, we have 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4. And I don't know if you've noticed, but all the keys that we've been playing, if they're not just normal with no flats or sharps, then I use flats. I just like that better, but you could call this F sharp if you really wanted to. I just prefer flats. And if you'd like more detail about how to correctly name the notes in each scale, we'll talk about that in another video. Now for G major, the fingerings are exactly the same as for C major. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for your left hand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Now let's go on to A flat. I'll go here. Start on your pointer finger, so 2, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And for your left hand, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3. And here's a quick tip that you can use for all of your scales. Let's take the A flat scale that we just played. If you notice, my hand was a little angled. That's because it's kind of hard to play it if your fingers are straight like this. Because then your thumb has to travel this far just to get to the C. Whereas if you angle your hand, your thumb is a lot closer already. So, especially for the scales that start on black keys, this tip is helpful. So your hand does not always have to be straight. You can let it flow freely and angle it however you want. Now let's move on to A major. Same as C major and G major. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And for the left hand, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Now for B flat, we start on the 2 with the pointer finger. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the left hand, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3. And last but not least, we have B major. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pretty familiar. But for the left hand, we start on the ring finger, the 4. 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. So watch that jump from E to F sharp. You're bringing your ring finger all the way over there. Make sure to try and make that as smooth as possible. The end. We're at the end of this lesson. I know it was kind of tedious and a lot of information, but this is the foundation for all things piano. And there are piano players much, much, much better than me that still practice their scales. How often to practice your scales? Well, depends on how often you're practicing in the first place. You want to practice every day, ideally. Just even if you don't have a lot of time, just run through them. But if not, then definitely at least run through your scales every time you sit down to play the piano. That would be a good start. I would recommend you to make sure you got the fingerings down and slowly go through each scale with both hands so you can comfortably play them in each hand separately and with both hands together. And if you want other tips on how to practice, I'm going to be making a future video about that, so subscribe to see that. But here's a quick recap of all the notes and fingerings for the scales we just played on the screen right now. And here are some key things from this lesson. Focus on making note transitions as quick and smooth as possible. If you forget a fingering, remember that your thumbs should never touch the black keys when playing these major scales. You can angle your hand to make the transitions between notes slightly easier. Now what I want you to do, right after this video if you can, is play all 12 scales with your right hand and then all 12 scales with your left hand. And then, if you want to be extra, you can play all 12 with both hands. If you don't think you have time, pick a few scales and play them. But get something done. Your future self will thank you. Well, that's it for me. I appreciate you guys, especially the people that watched it all the way to the end. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share the video so the channel grows. And if you really have to pick only one of these things, then subscribe. Please subscribe. I want the channel to grow and I want to help more and more people. You can also find me on Instagram at church.piano and check the description for some other links. But with that being said, I will see you next time.